You're watching Iowa Live. Everything local, entertaining, and meaningful in Central Iowa is right here on Iowa Live.
From the Karl Chevrolet studios on our outdoor stage, we are at Karl Chevrolet in Ankeny along with Bret Moyer, and we are here to talk about some of the great smaller vehicles that you can help people get into at the Karl Auto Group.
We can. Where do we start?
Let's start with this one right here, okay? Because this one I heard is a very popular vehicle. This is the Trax. Now explain some of the benefits of this car right here.
Well, one thing is you can tell the style.
Yeah, it looks very cool. This is not the Trax of old, folks. This is the Trax of new.
Exactly. And then if you ride and drive, the vehicle is just really something to talk about. But then the price.
How about the price point? Where does the Trax start?
You can start this car at just under $25,000.
That's hard to believe, folks, this day and age, that you can get into a vehicle of this quality for a starting point of under $25K. This is amazing, and you can really add on to this as much as you want, but this is a solid vehicle.
Absolutely.
And the mileage, the gas mileage on this vehicle, north of 30 miles to the gallon. I heard someone is getting 38 miles to the gallon in his latest fill-up, driving something very similar to this one.
Yeah. This guy.
No, seriously, it is. And about 34 around town and everything here. It's great. So this is one great vehicle. But if you want to move something a little bit bigger, there's something a little bit bigger over here. Now, what is this over here?
This is the Trailblazer.
Trailblazer, okay, not a Blazer. There's a difference. Let's make sure that people understand that too.
Yeah, and this, you know, the Blazer that you might get it confused with is a similar style, but it's a bigger vehicle.
Even bigger, yeah. Right now. The Trailblazer here, and I drove one of these recently when I was getting my regular maintenance done, yeah. And this one gets real similar gas mileage to the Trax too, which I was surprised at.
It does. It really does.
You would have told me I would have gotten to a little bit bigger one.
Well, we can make a deal.
I'm sure you could make a deal, but that's what we're talking about. Some of the best vehicles on the planet are right here at the Karl Auto Group. Now, if you want to take it one step further, so we have the Trax over right behind Jeff here. We have the Trailblazer here. Let's spin the camera around, Jeff. Walk in between here and look at this. And 2 rows of Equinox. I think they call that a flock of Equinox, isn't it?
You could.
Yeah. So a flock of Equinox, and that's just here at the Ankeny location.
It is, and that's an exciting vehicle. And you know what we're talking about here are some real popular vehicles, but the Equinox seems to have the most popularity.
Yeah, for its size.
Exactly.
And what's the price point of an Equinox, roughly?
Mid-30s.
Mid-30 range here.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a little bigger vehicle and a pretty much a very much utility type vehicle, this would be it.
It would be, and all these that we're talking about, we talk about style with a lot of these, and they all fit the Chevy group. You know you're looking at a Chevrolet and a stylish one whenever you see one going down the road.
Absolutely. So we have some of the smaller SUVs that are here. So let's talk about trucks, because there is on the far side over by the Karl sign, there's a slew of Silverados. That's what they call a whole bunch of them. But there's also the Colorados, which is a little smaller version of the Silverado. Let's walk over here. You can talk about this one.
Well, this one here is the top of the line. It's the ZR2.
Okay.
And it gives you the bigger wheel and tire. It's a little bit more of an off-road. Mm-hmm. You know, it's really sharp, but they're all sharp. We've got a lot of different models.
Okay, let's go over here, Jeff. Follow this way over here. Let's walk around this Colorado so you can get an idea of how cool this vehicle is. You talked about, how about let's say a clutch of Colorados. What would you call it? But hey, there's a whole bunch of them parked right in front of the building too. A bunch of different styles.
All around, different styles, different colors. And you know, some people just don't want to have the size of a Silverado.
Right.
You know, for maneuverability.
Garage size maybe, yep.
Exactly.
And Colorado would fit right in.
Exactly, and a little bit to the fuel economy.
Okay.
It's a heck of a vehicle that if you're thinking about it, come drive one.
Yeah, and the motors that they have in this, we talked about the 2.7 engine in the Silverado.
Yeah, there you go.
It's in there now. So imagine what it could do inside of there. And then really quick, let's talk about leasing options, because maybe a lease is for you, and you're talking about a great price point on the SUVs.
You really are. You know, you can get in a range, let's say somewhere around $400 a month is a pretty comfortable area that you can get into. And somebody might say, well, why is it less to lease? Well, you only pay for the portion of the vehicle that you use. So if it's a 2-year lease, you're paying for it on that amount of time, 3 years, whatever it may be. And then at the end of that, you might fall in love with it and just want to keep it.
There you go. 4 different SUVs available about that price point, but a lot of things going on here. And the thing about that, they're always under warranty. If you lease a vehicle, it's always under warranty. If people want to find out more about everything we talked about today or anything else going on at the Karl Auto Group,
KarlAuto.com.
he said it.